Wonderful. Happy Saturday to everybody. Here every single Saturday, we love to get together as our Zinzino team and really learn different things, whether it's about our fantastic products, our incredible business, how to build it, how to build that team or that leadership, or getting some interviews with different people who are definitely leading the way and on fire. Today, I think it's probably our youngest speaker here on our call, and yet he is Black Crown, and he's only been in the business under 3 years. So I know many of you heard him at the annual event here for the very first time, and people were writing me saying, wow, why don't you have him on? We got to hear some more from him. And I'm excited to have him on here. Now, I was writing to him this week, and he didn't answer a while. And then I wrote to Michael Stutler, his upline, and said, hey, Michael, I haven't got Sasha's response. And he wrote back saying, Karla, Sasha's 23. He doesn't use Facebook. I was like, yes, I know. Many of us are using Facebook, and it shows a little bit, it ages us and dates us. But we want to hear some of his past. We want to hear how he met Zinzino. And we know a lot of young people are building this, and we want to know for ourselves, starting others, and some of those challenges and how he overcame them and how he got to Black Crown so quickly. So let's bring him on here. Our Black Crown, Sascha Huber. Hi, Sascha.
Karla, thank you so much for the kind introduction. And yes, it was a little bit with Facebook. I maybe check it once a month. So guys, if you write me on Facebook and I don't text you back, I don't want to be mean. I'm just not checking it, to be honest.
I know, and I guess I should have thought of that, but sometimes you don't think about it. Oh yeah, that's right. He's actually 23, younger than my youngest child. And they don't use Facebook, any of them either. So it just makes sense. Okay, yeah. So Sascha, you know, I usually ask people about their past, but you know, when you got started in Zinzino, you were only 20 years old. That's crazy.
I had a past.
Okay, you had a past. What did you do before you were introduced to Zinzino?
Basically going to school, right? No, but in my past, like I had 3 big passions. The first one was sports, fitness, health. So I count that as one. I've played football for 16 years. That was like my biggest passion in life. My second biggest passion in life was playing video games. Actually, I was addicted to playing video games in a way. It wasn't that healthy anymore, to be honest. So for me, it was normal when we had vacation from school that I played like 12 hours in a row. So that was maybe a little bit too much. But to be honest here about my past. And the third one, my third biggest passion was to sleep during school. So that's why I wasn't the best in school and my teachers didn't always like me. But I would say that sums up my past. Sports, playing video games, and being not that good in school, to be honest.
Okay, so you were an average child there's a lot of people who have that same thing. You weren't the brightest. That's kind of fun because everything I hear from you is just like so profound. I'm like, okay, this kid is super smart. Maybe that ties together. As a teacher, and I've realized a lot of those kids I didn't think we're always paying much attention. We're actually the smart ones. Okay, so how did you get introduced to Zinzino? How did you hear about it?
Yes, you all know the guy who is my sponsor, Michael Stüttler, and this was actually kind of funny story because I made my first experience with network marketing when I was 18 years old. I won't call the name of this company, but I lasted there for around about 10 days. And then I quit and I said, never ever network marketing again. This is the biggest scam out there and no way.
So you had already given up on direct sales, network marketing?
After 10 days, yeah, with the age of 18, exactly. It was for me, I didn't know how to talk to people. I was a little bit insecure, a little bit shy. And so it was for me like impossible to build a network marketing business. And then I got to know Michael on Instagram before he knew about Zinzino. That's an important information. And he tried to build his online business. I was trying to build my online business. We had a very good relationship, like from the first message on. We got along very well, had a lot of contact. And after like 4 months, he got introduced to Encino and he started. And he was like, you know the game, the people you know, invited to a meeting. He was inviting me, and I smelled that it was about network marketing. So I sent him the voice message back. Yeah, Michael, you know, I really like you and the social media friendship we have going on, but that sounds like network marketing. I will never do that. So please leave me alone with this word I'm not allowed to say. That was basically my reaction to his invitation.
Wow. Okay. So you liked Michael, but
yes,
if it was direct sales, you weren't going to be
exactly
part of that. Okay. Well, now we want to, and we know that you're here. So what changed your mind? What got you, what woke you up a little bit?
Basically, maybe now it's getting a little bit crazy because I started then with the UPK without seeing a presentation.
What? Wait. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I know. Now you want to know what
Yes.
happened in between.
what happened in between?
Basically, as I said earlier, I always had the passion for health, for fitness, for nutrition. And I always knew about the importance of omega-3s. I already knew like that's the most important nutrient to stay healthy. Nobody had to tell me that. And he just said one sentence, and he knew my passion for omega-3 because of our conversations back then. And he just said one sentence, and it was, "Hey, Sasha, I can understand you being skeptical, blah blah blah, but we are doing omega-3 with tests." This one sentence for me was like, okay, Michael, I don't like network marketing, and I will do it in my own style, this business, not in the network marketing style, but I will join. For me, it was clear. I had this one sentence, and in my mind, it was like, that is a business opportunity because everyone needs it, and with the test, we can show it. So it didn't take me longer than a minute to understand the potential of the business.
You know, I
that
did
was
say
the reason why I started.
I knew you were smart. See, you already knew that. Okay, so he just had to mention that, and you were thinking,
Exactly.
okay, this could be a business, even if it wasn't in direct sales. You could maybe do something with the business. So you get started, and you got in with a UBK, the Ultimate Partner Kit. Wait a minute. So you were quite young. A lot of people are saying, well, when we talk to young people, you know, sometimes people don't always have the money. So why did you start with the UBK kit?
Michael doesn't know the answer to this question, so if he sees that, basically, because Michael told me that's the best option, and I wasn't too shy to say I want another option, so I just went for it.
Okay, well, all the other ones I've heard people say, yeah, the other kits are sold out. It's only that one, which is the best. If we really could choose for the people we know that is the best. They are able to get it refunded. They get started with enough products. So we know that's the best one. So if he says this is the best kit and he tells you that, you just get started with that kit.
Exactly. Trusted him.
Okay. So you got in the business and you went roaring away and, I mean, just hit Black Crown. It was really easy for you? I know the answer to that.
No. You know the answer, Karla.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
So how did that start go?
So basically the start was amazing because I was hyped. I made a group on WhatsApp with immediately the next day with Michael and with Benjamin that just told me 200% ECB. They explained me only that, okay, you get 450 credits for a new partner, UPK. I was like, okay, 12,000 times 450 is like so many UPKs I need.
Wait a minute. Okay, so you get in and you're starting to add up how to hit diamond already.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure. I was like, can't be that difficult, right? Then I made this group. I told them, hey, I will hit diamond for sure this month. After this month, I had 0 credits produced.
Okay. Okay. So you wanted to hit diamond in your first month. Okay. I actually that sounds like some of the young people I've heard. Okay.
Yeah,
but
stupidness.
Okay. So what happened after that?
After that, I was maybe a little bit frustrated, you could say. But for me, it was like always, I mean, I had a few times where I was like short before giving up on this business, but I always had the picture in my mind, like the whole world taking omega-3s because they did a test before. And I just wanted to be part of this, and I knew that this will happen. And I don't want to miss out on this opportunity. So February, March, and April, I did way less for the business. I just checked a few things in the business, but I didn't try to build it, to be honest, because I was like,
so just to be clear, you started actually in 2021 in January. So you were working February, March,
April, just like these 3 months, just like tiny little bit. And I tried to build other projects, which failed as well.
Okay. So what happened then? Something happened.
Then something happened, exactly. As always, we have this one defining moment. And for me, it was, I was actually working in a gym, but we had lockdown in this time because of COVID. So I wasn't in a gym in January, February, March, and April. Then on 1st of May, we reopened. And after 4 months, I was like, I don't want to go back to the job. Although I love fitness, I hate this job. So it was for me like, okay, I'm getting serious with Ensino. I have to, because otherwise I have to go back to the job.
So there in May, you made a decision saying, I'm going to build Ensino. Yeah. Okay, well, so what did you do differently? What happened in May? So you made a decision. Did it go crazy after that?
I will show you afterwards, but basically it wasn't bad at all, but it wasn't like, we started a rocket. No, it wasn't like that. It was okay, let's say it like that.
Okay, so but certain things happened that, because you are now Black Crown. I mean, that's absolutely incredible. It's a fast Black Crown. You know, you have the title that I'm working on this month. So I want to be that. And it kind of, some people are going to say, well, you get frustrated at that. I mean, wait a minute. How can this 23-year-old hit Black Crown? I've been doing this for 10 years, Sasha. I want to know what you have done. I want to know what you are doing. So tell us, what is it that you have been doing to get to Black Crown?
Well, I don't know if you know the story, but I think that's maybe the biggest secret. Maybe you can for real call it secret. There was a guy in a restaurant, and on one table there was sitting Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, and the third one, I don't know the name anymore, but also like in this league. And the man stood up, he went to their table, and he was very shy, like, okay, I really don't want to disturb you guys. I appreciate your time, but if I see you three sitting here, can I please ask you just one question, please? They were like, yeah, go ahead. So he asked them, you're like the most successful people on the earth. What is your biggest secret to success? And all three of them, without thinking a second, they answered the same word immediately, without talking to each other. And it was focus. All three of them. So I would say that's the biggest secret for me, because the last 2.5 years, my focus was only on building Ensino. Like 60 hours a week, maybe sometimes 70 hours a week, and never slowing down. Maybe, okay, a 1 week vacation in the summer, in the winter, at Christmas time. But the main focus for me in my last 2.5 years was only Ensino.
Okay, so, but a lot of people are saying, yeah, but okay, when you're younger, or actually, you know, there's that fear of contacting people. You must have gotten through that. You must have been talking to people and doing meetings and explaining things to them, but people aren't always listening to younger people. How are you getting through talking to people and getting them to sign up? Now, I remember one story that Michael said when, which I loved more than once, when he's like, he was your upline. So he was doing meetings, and actually it was one of his wake up calls of how he needed to go through personal development when you kind of had him on a meeting, and you're like, okay, Michael, I'm sorry, I love you, but I can't use you on my meetings. I can't use you. And he got better because of that. So something you said, Sasha, is actually having your upline up the bar to your level. So what are you doing? We need to hear more of how are you getting there? What did you do in your hours?
So when I started out, I And this is not an advice. Don't do it like me. This is not an advice. It's just me telling how I started out. I would do it differently now today, to be honest. But when I started out, I didn't contact my warm market, my family, friends, or someone else. Basically, my own mother didn't know for 4 months, or actually for 9 months that I started this business.
You didn't even,
So
wait a minute. Okay, so
no.
what were you doing?
I I told her that I will study physiotherapy starting with October 2021. So I had 9 months, January to October, to live with this little, I don't know if you can call it a lie, but this little help for me to not having to talk about my business. And she was thinking, yeah, in a few weeks you will go to university.
Okay. Yeah, we're not gonna have people say that. No. Okay, but you were kind of hiding it, and I think some people do get that. People are telling people, yeah, that business, they told me that those kind of businesses don't work. You won't be able to do that. It's a scam. You can't do it. So a lot of people hear that, or they kind of have been holding back. But at some point, you started talking to everybody.
I I don't know if everybody is right. I wouldn't say so, because there are a lot of people I know I haven't talked about Cincina. For me, it was I started out with the cold market, and in May, so in the first month, I really got active. I contacted around about 2,500 people on Instagram.
Okay. Oh, so you had those contacts on Instagram?
No, it was just finding profiles and messaging them. I wouldn't do it again, to be honest, in this way.
Okay, so you don't want people just to be texting people that you don't know. Okay. So what was it that you really learned? What was it that started you growing?
Yeah. I mean, before that, I learned a little bit about selling before I started with network marketing. Now I know that this is maybe the skill you don't want to learn when you want to get successful in this business. But back then I thought you have to be good at this. And what I learned was just how to work with a system. Like for me, it was like doing anything, hoping that someone will join. And then I learned over time, over weeks, over months. I was reading a lot of books about network marketing, watching a lot of videos on YouTube about network marketing. And more and more I learned, okay, you need one system that works, just one system, step for step, that works. And if you found out this system, then you can scale it on a bigger level. So Michael and me together, we tried to find out which system does work. And it took us, I would say, 6 to 9 months to find a good system. And this was what we were doing. We were trying a lot of different things just to find the one thing, or I mean, there are more things that work, but to find one thing that works for us with our system.
Right, because we know that, success is just having, when you find something that simple things that many people can do over and over again and duplicate.
Jonik will be proud.
Yes, he would be proud. That's what he's been saying forever. And so are you going to tell us a little bit about that system? Because people are going to.
Michael told you already about the system, I could imagine.
Okay, exactly that. Art just answered yes on here. Yes. Okay. Yay. Okay. So so you started doing things in regards to the system. I mean, it is the Zinzino system of contacting people and following up and getting them to meetings until you get them to events. We know that's contacting them and how we contact them and things like that. But you guys started having some success.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get started to starting having success to Black Crown, there's stuff in between here. What has been going on? I know that you've got some slides with it. You're going to talk about some of your challenges and what people should be doing. Is that going to be explaining some of what you've been doing?
I mean, I could add one thing. I mean, I would say basically becoming successful in this business is doing the activities, the boring EPAs, right? Which are boring, but you have to do them, which is personally growing, which is train your team, do the events with them together. But if there's one thing that will speed it up, it's the runs. It's like putting in massive amount of action in a short period of time. And I think that is what Michael and me are well known for within Encino, our 60 or 90-day runs, which are just blasts, which is like, we don't have a private life in this time, to be honest.
So true. Okay, so the IPAs, for those who don't know, the income producing activities, and you just up those. I mean, I'm sure some people just heard when you said I was doing 60-hour weeks, and they're going, what? You have had periods of times where you just give it more. You're not doing that all the time. You're giving it in runs.
Exactly. I would say in a normal month, it's like 30 to 40 hours a week, something like that. But
Yeah.
that's, to be honest, because I'm 23. If I would have a family with children, I wouldn't do that. Then it wouldn't be my first priority. So I can set the priority number one, building the business. If I had children, to be honest, building my business wouldn't be priority one.
Yeah, and I mean, even our founders, Hilda and Orion, say she's,
Exactly.
God, family, then her business, and yet success when you really focus. I think that's your main key, is just focusing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had brought some things that you're going to give us a training on, and then hopefully we can ask a few questions too. So if people do have questions, you can either put it in the chat, or we're streaming at the same time. But you're going to talk a little bit about your challenges and your struggles, but yet how you got through them, because that's kind of what I think a lot of people need to hear.
Yes. So I was thinking about what do I want to talk about in this call. And first of all, I've like split it up in two parts. The first part is Seasons of Life from Jim Rohn. I just want to repeat that because I think a lot of people know this already. And why I'm repeating this is because if you don't know it or not aware of it anymore, for me, that's like one of the most important philosophies for the whole life. And for business, maybe even more important. So no. And the second part, and number two, why I'm talking about this is because you will need it for my second part to understand the second part better. And the second part will be, I will show you my back office of the whole 2.5 years I've gone through Encino. So I called it Let's Be Real. I will show you every single detail so you can really see how it was for me. And I thought about my 5 biggest challenges I had. For me personally, maybe other people have other challenges. So maybe you can see, oh, I have this challenge as well. Okay, it's quite normal. And then I try to tell you how to overcome that. But to be honest, I don't believe that I'm able to do that, because only you are able to overcome your own challenges, right? And we all know that it's just growing personally, the answer. But this would be, I want to go through with you. So maybe let's start with the presentation I prepared.
And I love that you're starting with some Jim Rohn. That just shows how much personal development you have been doing. Wonderful.
Yeah, he's like my hero. I have a lot of role models, but he's my hero. Like, crazy. So this is the book if you want to read it. I hope I'm allowed to make a little bit of marketing for this book because it's just amazing. You have to read it. And what he's talking about, the book, is basically very simple. I mean, you can already guess it from the title. So he's saying that there are laws of nature that we basically, of course, can change because nature is nature. For example, after winter, we have spring. After day, we have night. And quite normal, after 200% ECB, we need vacation, right? So these are some laws of nature that you just can't change. But you can adapt your mindset and your activities according to the laws of nature. So for me, there are 2 different kinds of people. The one person who is trying to push through and not looking at the laws of nature, just thinking, hey, if I just push through, it will work out. And they will have a very hard life, I think. And the other type of person is like, thinking about what is the season right now and how can I benefit the most? Which is, in my mind, a little bit smarter than just pushing through. Also thinking about when doing what activities to be in the flow with nature, with the seasons of life. And which seasons do we have? We all know that. We have spring, summer, fall, and winter. So what is spring about? Spring comes after winter. We all know that. That's a good thing, but we'll come back to that afterwards. It's like the season of opportunity. like where you can grow something new, right? Where you can plant seeds. And this is the best time to plant seeds. If you plant seeds in the fall and then comes winter, I don't know if that's smart. But in spring, planting the seeds with summer, the next season where they can grow, that's kind of smart. So this season is for planting a lot of seeds, like how many you're capable of planting, right? You want as much as possible. And that also means it's time to work. That is a lot of work to do. And the hardest thing about the spring is that you don't see the result right now. You're now planting a seed. What happens tomorrow? You don't see anything, although you worked so much yesterday. What is next week? You don't see anything, although you worked so much the whole week. That's the difficult part about spring. The result will come in a few weeks or months. It depends on what we're talking about, right? Then after spring, law of nature, comes summer. So summer, you know, is the season of growth. So the seeds you planted in spring, now it's for them time to grow, and you can watch them grow. Now you can do one thing right and one thing wrong. What you can do right is that you nurture them. The one thing you can do wrong is that you don't nurture them and they will die. So don't make the mistake to just relax in summer, because then all your seeds you planted will die, and you don't want this to happen, because then your work was obsolete. And of course, remove the weed or your seeds can't grow as good. So also in summer, although it's sunny, it's nice weather, there will be some things which aren't 100% fine. Remove them so the seeds can really grow. And after summer, we know, comes fall. And fall is for some people the best season in life, and for others the worst season in life. It's the season of harvest. It's the season we're all looking forward to. It's the season of rank ups in Ensino. And we harvest in fall what we planted in spring and took care of in summer. Don't forget this important part. But also what is true, we don't harvest what we did not plant and did not take care of. So what's the most important key learning about that one? If you put in work for like 6 weeks, you have spring, and you think, oh, nothing grows, nothing is happening, then a lot of people are in the danger of doing 3 weeks nothing. So you just killed your own seeds that you planted with your hard work. That's maybe one of the worst mistakes you can do, also in this business. And so because of that, for some it's the heaven, because they're getting amazing harvest now. And for others, it's the season of hell, because they get no harvest, but have to see how everyone else is getting the harvest. And we know what comes after fall, it's the winter. And I'm not talking about the beautiful winter in Austria, you maybe think about, but about the winter you see in the picture in the right-hand corner. And one thing to learn in whole life, it doesn't matter if business, if relationships, if health, if financial, winter will always come. There's no way around it. We can't cancel it from the calendar. It's winter. It's between fall and spring. It's part of our nature. You can't avoid it. So winter stands for setbacks, losses, dark times. Maybe you get an illness. Maybe your investments are going down. Maybe a leader is leaving your team. I don't know. Whatever could happen. But winter is setbacks, losses, dark and difficult times. And some winters are short, maybe only a few days, maybe only a few weeks. Some are long, maybe even 1-2 years, who knows? And some winters are easy and other ones are very hard to overcome. So some winters for you is like, oh, that was winter, nice, I'm ready for spring again. And some winters are like, that was difficult to keep going. Finally, we have spring again. So there are different types of winters. And the best thing you can do in winter is time to grow. Now it decides if you're the person who outgrows their challenges, or if you're the person who quits when challenges occur. But don't think it's possible to not have challenges. It's impossible. You will have them. That's the only thing you have to answer for yourself for your whole life, in every area of your life. Like, are you the person to outgrow your challenges during winter times? Or are you the person who quits during winter times? It's time to reflect, to get some feedback so you can improve. I think you can't grow without reflecting, without getting feedback. And it's the time to plan and prepare for spring, summer, and fall, which will be ahead. So as I said, you have two options: prepare for spring, do everything that's necessary to overcome the winter, or you give up and you stay in hell. And you have heard this as well, I think. If you're in hell, don't stay there. Start running as fast as you can. Most people that are in hell, they just stand still. Then it's the time to run even faster to get out of here again. So these are basically the 4 seasons Jim Rohn talks about. So spring for planting the seeds, summer to nurture them, to let them grow, fall for the harvest, and winter for the difficult times, which are maybe, in my opinion, maybe, just maybe, the reason for our life. Maybe the reason for our life is not the work we put in spring, is not taking care of everything in summer, is not getting the harvest. Maybe the biggest reason for our own life is to grow. And you grow the most during winter times. So maybe we shouldn't be afraid of these times, but rather appreciate these times, although we always hate them when they occur. But maybe we should appreciate them because they are our possibility to grow and to become a better version of ourselves. And regarding the seasons of life, don't get confused, but I think you are not getting confused. That's a good thing. It's not like once a year we have 3 months of spring, 3 of summer, 3 of fall, 3 of winter. It could be different. Maybe you have 3 months of spring, 1 month of summer, 2 weeks of fall, and 2 months of winter. I don't know. And you have them in every area of your life, in your relationships, in finances, in your health, and in your business. Maybe you have spring for 5 years. When I think about Sensino, they weren't growing that rapidly when they started out. Maybe the first 8 years were spring. Maybe we don't know it yet, but maybe we are still in spring with Sensino, the 19th or 18th year, or already in the summer, and the fall will come. To be honest, I don't think that Sensino already got the harvest for what they were doing the last 18 years. I think this time will come for us. So you can look at it on a big picture or also in a small amount of time frame at the seasons. It depends. And now to my actual topic, let's be real. I was thinking about it if I should for real do that, because I have never seen someone doing that. And that's most of the times not a good sign. That's like, okay, if nobody does that, don't do it either, and you can't do anything wrong. But on the other hand, I was like thinking maybe you could show some people the truth, the realness about this business. Maybe that's an important thing, because you always see people on stage, you see the recognition, you always see in interviews the people who have success. But what is with the other 95% who are having maybe a hard time? You never hear about this. And you never hear about maybe not never, but a lot of times you don't really see behind the scenes of the process of the people who are now in front at the stage. So maybe it's kind of interesting to reflect together on this process. Because as I told you, my passion was football, sport, health, nutrition, playing video games, and sleeping in school. So these are the 2 pictures of me. And I'm fine if I find them in the internet. So I don't care about it. It's fine, just for you to know. So the question is, have I always been confident? Nowadays, I would call myself quite confident. Maybe I could improve it still a little bit more. I'm quite sure about that. But it's way better than like 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 5 years ago. And have I always had the right mindset? No, definitely not. I wasn't talking about visions. I wasn't talking about goals. And I didn't start with Ensino because of visions or because of goals. I started because of fear. Because I was always good in football, playing football. And when I turned 15, I was allowed to play with the grown-ups who were like 20, 25, 30, 35. And every single day we had training. Before training starts, they were talking about the same topic all over again. Oh, today work again. Oh no, tomorrow standing up early again. Oh, finally it's Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday. I was so afraid. I was like, no, I don't want this life they have. If there's any other option than having their life, which they're complaining about every single time, I want this other option. So for me, starting or trying to start my own business was just based out of fear. Fear of a life I don't enjoy to live. And not because I was saying, I'm the greatest one, I will build a big business. No. Didn't even knew that this would be possible for me. And I've been my first 8 months going. We already talked about it, so I will not cover it in detail again. You know, I started January 21. At April 21, I had 0 customers, 0 partners, and 0 credits in the back office. I think I had 17 or something like that, to be quite honest. And then in May, it was my restart. I hit executive, but with buying 1 UPK for myself. I want to be honest about that. Let's be real. Otherwise, I would just have been gold. June, July, August was like the worst time of my life because I loved summer. I loved going partying. I loved just chilling at the lake with my friends. And this summer, I didn't do this stuff. I gave up on this stuff because I knew if I really want to get something going with this business, I have to put my whole focus into it. I have to grow so much. I had so many challenges, so many weaknesses, so many things I have to learn. I'm not allowed to spend like 4 months just chilling. So this for me was the worst month in my life, worst summer in my life. And my biggest challenge number 1 in this business was to believe in myself. And we will cover that later on. Then we had my first 90-day run, and for real, we called it 90-day run already back then because Michael saw a video of a networker who was promoting 90-day run, and he was like, "Hey, Sasha, check this out. Let's do this 90-day run. It will be amazing. After that, we will be rich." Okay, he didn't use these words exactly, but for me, it felt like. So September looked amazingly good. I hit diamond. Let's be real. In May, with reaching out to 2,500 people, I got 70 appointments and 2 partners of the 70 or 80 started. So my ratio was awful. And one of these 2 was Daniela Marquardt. She is today Royal Crown. She was a networker before. So my success isn't because I was so great. My success is because I worked for my luck to find her, to start in my business. Because I got 2/3 of the credits from her team. She was doing everything alone because she knew it better than me. Of course she did. Have to be real. I will cover it again later. There's another point to the story. And then in October, I dropped down to gold, although I had banking, although I was doing 60 hours a week. This was the first time I was really considering giving up after a few months. But I was like, no, what is my other option? I have option keep pushing or go back to your job. I have no other way out. So I had to keep pushing. In November again, we hit diamond with buying 1 UPK personally. Just honest about it. Then we had December, and this was one of the hardest times for me because until this time, I lived at the house at the basement from my grandmother. And because a lot of people wondering, no, I'm completely fine with my mother, completely fine, we love each other. But because of different reasons, I was living with my grandmother. And in January 2022, so 1 month after the December, I had my own flat. I had to pay the rent, I had to pay my car, I had to pay a lot of stuff. I wasn't able to afford because it didn't earn enough money. Plus, Michael, Benjamin, and me decided to go to Mexico for 6 weeks. And I haven't even bought the flight and didn't have the money for it. So I was sitting in my room, not on my bed, not on my chair. I was sitting on the ground like a little kid and did a call with these two boys and told them, hey, Mike, Benjamin, you know, I would love to go to Mexico, but I just can't. I don't have the money for it. And I don't see that I will earn the money in the next months. So I think I have to go to Vienna, where I got my flat, and take a job there as a fitness trainer again. Then they built me up. Benjamin supported me with 500 euros. He just gifted to me. Still today, thankful to him for that. And this was maybe the second biggest challenge, to handle the emotional roller coaster. Then we went to Mexico and something crazy happened. We hit director. And back then I didn't understand how this happened. I didn't understand it. Now I understand. Maybe this was the fall because here was spring and summer. And I couldn't see that I planted the seeds these 3 months. I couldn't see the summer here, but here was the fall. But just imagine, I would have given up at middle of November or December. Just imagine, I wouldn't have nurtured the seeds I planted the 3 months before. The seeds would have died and I wouldn't have had a fall. And for real, I would be in the fitness trainer job again. So I don't know what's your situation right now. We have November. We are here. I don't know what's the situation now, but just think about the seasons of life. And then we had February, March, and April. And these were interesting months because challenge number 3 for me was to do the daily activities outside of 200% ECB. It's so easy to build a business during 200% ECB because the whole team is hyped. You have a game plan, your upline is hyped, the team calls you inspiration, you have more credits, and so on. You're so hyped. It's so easy to make the activities. But when it's over, you're sitting there in your room again without any hype, without any inspiration, without big goals. You're like, oof, just boring stuff again. But if you don't do the activities, if you don't use the spring to plant again, then something like the May wouldn't have happened. And for me, the May was a very, very, should say, significant month because that reached the title crown. And I had a personal growth the last 12 months, more than 12 months. And now, from this day on, the first time Daniela Marquardt worked with me. My downline, I don't like this term, but for you to understand, my downline finally worked with me after over a year in this business. For me, it was a pleasure. For me, it was an honor that she worked with me. For real. And then with the other months. And does that look like a stable business we're always promoting if you have enough customers? For me, it doesn't look like that stable. With May, then dropping down in summer, September, October, November, December, January. So these are emotionally times. And that's challenge 4, keep growing personally, reading the books, listening to the audios, implementing what you read and listen. That's maybe the most important thing during emotional times. When you're like, I don't know, this month was worse than the last month and the last month before. Although I'm doing the activities daily, I'm growing daily, somehow something doesn't feel right. That's maybe challenge number 4. And challenge number 5, for me, was maybe the biggest one. Because you can see 2023, a lot of people think that was the best year of my life. Now, to be completely honest, it wasn't. Now, after September and October, on being on stage, we can talk about it. But the first 9 months, they were so difficult for me. Why? Because you can see I didn't have any significant growth. It was always the same range. Although I did activities, I hustled, I gave everything. And that was the challenge because I earned enough money. I was stable director, nearly crown. With the age of 23, that's enough money to live. And then to stay hungry, although you have enough money on a passive income, and although you're miles away from a rank up, that's difficult. And for me, I needed a new vision. I needed a new goal. I needed a new motivation. It wasn't money anymore. It wasn't the fear anymore. I was so long, I was pushed by the fear, but it was gone because I had the passive income right now, right? So it were a lot of months where I was doing the daily activities, although I didn't have the motivation for it. Some days I got up and I was like, 8 calls today. I don't want to do a single one. But I just trusted that if I do this process for a few months and I grow, that I will find the motivation again. So I just kept going until I found my new motivation. And my new motivation is completely clear. Completely clear. I said it on stage. What we are creating here is amazing, because ask someone, hey, which company you think about when I say the term smartphone? They're saying Apple. Okay, electric cars, Tesla. Okay, online shop, Amazon. Okay, which company you think about health? You don't get an answer. There is no one company. And I can clearly see, nowadays, I can clearly see that Sensino will be this one company everyone has in his mind when he hears about health. Because Sensino, in my opinion, can make amazing things. They can revolutionize the health industry for the better. Nowadays, we have so many sick people because they're not doing preventive health. And with the test, we can give them the opportunity for preventive health. And it's just amazing to be part of this journey. And a good business opportunity as well. So if you're here for the money, that's fine. And this as well. Maybe here we have some winters, we have spring, we have summer, and after 9 months, we had the fall. But if I wouldn't have put in the action here, the Black Crown in September wouldn't have happened. And for me, it would have been so easy to just stop working that much on a business. I could have done like a 20-hour work week. Would have been enough. But then I knew that I would have only been average. I didn't want this for my life, to be just average. And also, don't let your emotions fool you. You can see that February 23 was a better month than January 22. And in January, I was like the happiest person alive. I was back in game when I hit the first-time director. In February, I was like, hey, no growth going on, nothing happens. This business is so difficult. Although it was a better month than back then. So don't let your emotions fool you if you're in this business for a longer time frame. And never, ever forget the most important thing. What do we want out of this business? Most people want freedom, financial freedom, time freedom. What you need for that? Passive income. How do you get passive income? With customers on a subscription. So that's maybe the most important thing, how many customers you have in your team on a monthly subscription. And that's the chart underneath the balance credits. And you can see that it grew every single month. And I didn't see it. I didn't find this graph. Maybe I would have been not that emotional if I didn't look at the balance credits, but at the customers every single month. So don't let yourself fool you. Don't just look at the credits. Look at, is the most important thing in your business growing? And for the most people I know within Sensino, it is. And the second most important thing, because how do we get thousands of customers? Therefore, we need also a lot of partners. So also have a look, are your partners growing? Your active partners in the team? Do you have a growth there? And if yes, amazing, you're on track. And even if you have the October 22, which was worse than the August 22 in the 90-day run, but your partners grew in your team, you can be happy. You have growth, but you just don't see it because we have spring. And you don't see the growth in the spring. But it is there. It is there. And if you keep on going in summer, you will see it in fall with the harvest. And what have been the biggest challenges? Of course, believing in myself. And today, because a few people reached out to me after my talk on the leader panel at the annual event. And somehow I got the feeling that people think I don't have any insecurities more. They think that I 100% believe in myself. Oof. I mean, I take it as a compliment, but it's just not true. Still today, and I also know that from Michael, we still have insecurities. And I think we will have them in 10 years ahead as well. And in 20 and in 30 years. Why? Because new challenges occur, new winters occur. And every time challenges and winters occur, you're getting insecurities. The only thing that changed is, back then, I didn't know if I'm capable of outgrowing them or if they will destroy me. Today, I know whatever comes along the way, I will outgrow the challenges. So maybe you could say it's easier, but the insecurities still got them. Although a lot of people don't believe that. And how do you get past your self-limiting beliefs through your insecurities? You know the answer. It's just personal growth, doing the action, because from action comes results. And then you can see that you can outgrow your challenges and insecurities. Number 2, handle the emotional roller coaster. I would say not only look at the balanced credits, but also the customers and the partners in your team. I think that's a good tool to handle number 2. Maybe also appreciate the emotional roller coaster. Because we're always talking about balance. If we're happy, we also have to be sad. If we're excited, we also have to be insecure. So maybe appreciate the emotional roller coaster, because that shows you that you're human. That shows you that you have a heart. That shows you that you have feelings. Number 3, do the, sorry for that, but it is for me boring, do the boring daily activities outside of 200% ECB. During spring, where you don't see the growth, where you have no inspiration, no motivation, and so on. And trust that they really work. What is a solution for that one? Oh, it's so difficult, it's so hard. I don't know if there's the perfect solution to that one. I don't think so. But for me, it's plan your month, plan your week, plan your day. Have monthly goals, have weekly goals, have daily goals. Not result-oriented goals, but activity goals. Again, not result-oriented, but activity-oriented. Because if you have the goal, for example, in a month that you want to do 40 presentations, so 10 a week, 2 a day, and you do that, then you know that you're on track. You know that you're using the spring. So maybe that helps with this challenge. Keep growing personally daily in emotional times, when you maybe don't feel like personal growth, because you sometimes wonder yourself, is it really worth it? Put in the time to reading the books. My secret for that, let it become a habit. For me today, I don't have to think about reading a book before I go to sleep, because I always read for 20 minutes before I go to sleep. It's just a habit for me. So do it daily, and it will become a habit very soon. And how to stay hungry once you're financially free and miles away from a rank up? Find a purpose. Maybe start with end in mind, how Stephen Covey is talking about in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and ask yourself, how do you want your life to look like when you're at your deathbed? Which impact do you want to make? Maybe which legacy you want to leave? Maybe your legacy is just having amazing good times with your family, which is only possible in this business. And maybe you want to give something to your kids. And if you're not hungry anymore, not working anymore, I don't know if you're the best role model for your kids. I don't know. Not quite sure about it. And what Hilda and Orin are always saying, go to environments which let you think bigger. So go to the events, go on maybe expensive vacations you can't even afford to, but find a way to go to environments which will expansion your thinking. And these are some hard challenges, I think. These are. So the question is it worth it? I'm not quite sure about it. It's hard. I mean, very simple, but not easy, right? Simple, but hard. So is it worth it? You have to decide for yourself. But let me tell you what happened 2 days after this year's annual event. So it was just 2.5 weeks ago. I was at the house from my grandmother because I flew to Cyprus 1 week later, already in Cyprus today. And on this day, I was still at home with her. And she came into the room. I looked at her and I knew something happened. Couldn't say what happened, but something happened. And she looked at me and she knew. I immediately realized. So I didn't say a single word. She just told me what happened. Not a family member, but the best friend of our family for the last 3 decades, who has been on every birthday party, also for mine, who has been on every Christmas party, every Easter party, just died the night before, 1 day after the annual event. Still today, they don't know why. He was 61. I saw him 2 months ago. He was 100% healthy. He couldn't have been healthier for his age. And 2 months later, he died. And still today, in the hospital, they don't know why. And I had a very good relationship with him. And I just wanted to ask him one question, because I love this question, asking people on the deathbed, hey, how do you think about your life? I don't know why. I just love it because I want to learn. And I wanted to ask him, hey, Karli, do you think that you have lived your life or that your life has been lived? Because he was working 40 years. I don't know what's the term in English, but you know when you have to work 8 hours in the morning, 8 hours in the noon, 8 hours during night. I don't know the term in English. For 40 years. And a few years in retirement, and he suddenly dies. So I'm not quite sure if he's really happy with how his life worked out. And I thought about it so long, and then came to my mind, what are 3 to 5 years building this business for 3 to 5 decades living in freedom? Like, what are we talking about? Building this business for a few years to be able to have passive income, to be timely free, financially free? What are 3 to 5 years compared to decades? What we have the possibility of doing here? If I told him, hey, Karli, you can go back to time, you're now 20 again, and you can invest 5 years of your time to build a business which will give you passive income for the next 40 years, would you do it? Of course he would do it. Who wouldn't? So please, before you consider at any time to quit this business, just ask yourself, how would you decide? Would you go back in time and build this business for real? Or would you let out this opportunity for decades of living in freedom, creating the best version of yourself, creating the life you always wanted to live? So the most important question in life for me is, how do you want to think about your life once you're laying on your deathbed? Always have this in mind. And never forget, the spring will come. So if you now have winter, the spring will come. If you can outgrow the winter, it will be over anytime. And you are capable of outgrowing the winter, so you can inspire other people, because everybody is able to outgrow his own winters. Maybe life gives us the challenges which are difficult, but not too difficult for us. Life knows what we are capable of doing. So just do it. Also, it's difficult, I know, but we're capable of it, and you are capable of it. And currently, now, today, we are in the strongest spring month of whole Ensino, November. It's like we have the most action, the most activities, where we're doing the most calls. Now it's time to work. Now it's time to plant the seeds. The good thing is, maybe also fall comes in 3 weeks already, like so fast. But believe me, the whole year 2024, you will benefit if you use the November as a spring correctly. You will have the harvest in 2024, that's for sure. Not only short term now in November. So use this amazing possibility. because Zincino is a sleeping giant. And Zincino, a lot of people are sleeping on it. And I'm quite sure that a lot of people will regret that they already were in the business of Zincino, but didn't give it all for 3 to 5 years to be able to live 3 to 5 decades in freedom. And I'm not quite sure about the time, but
that's okay. That's okay.
Done for me.
Everybody has been on pins and needles. If we were in a big room, it would be pin drop quiet. Okay, so one of the things that you said, Sasha, is talking about focus. And I think the more I hear you speak, one of the biggest things is you have focused in this time and you've had consistency. You haven't had a start, stop. You have made the decision you're going to build this and continued to do things. You've had, the yearly, monthly, weekly, daily goals and have worked towards them. And then you've done the pushes. And it's during those pushes when you're really able to harvest things afterwards. And you might not see it now, but you go through ups, you go through downs. I love that you even called it the emotional roller coaster, because I've heard so many people say, this is such an emotional roller coaster. There's ups and the downs, and you get wondering if you can do it. And that's what you're proving. It doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter how you are. If you make those decisions and consistently focus, people can build this. Do you believe everybody can build this?
Not anybody, but everyone who wants to really build it. Then, yeah, everyone who really wants to build it can build it. But not everyone wants to, so.
And believing. And now you talked about the runs. And I mean, now is the time. I know in my team, we've had people doing 60-day runs, now building up. There's people on a 30-day run in November. And I thought another thing was really important, what you talked about preparing, because we had said we were going to push about this run, but I even said to you, maybe we should talk a little bit about the run or people doing the run. And you said, oh, they should have prepared for that and had their plan done before November started.
Yeah.
That's a big key too, because a lot of people, they hear about things on the first of the month and then they're making plans and they're taking that time. But to really schedule it and to make sure that you have that run and people to have their goals. It's the goals that also are mattering.
Yeah, it's like the cycle of achievement from Moin Woodward. You have the vision, your why, basically, you could say. You have your goals, then you have the plan, then you put in the action, then you get feedback. That's like the process all the time. But if you don't have goals, it's like you don't know where to go to. You don't know what to do, because if you don't know where you want to be, okay, which direction should you go? You have no idea. You have no plan. If you have no plan, you sit here at home, you're like, okay, now I could maybe do a social media post. If you don't have a plan, you will always go. There are two ways in life: the right one to your goal, and the easier way. And if you don't have the way in front of you, so I mean your plan, then you always go the easier plan. Then you don't make new contacts, you make a new social media post. So have the goal for the plan you needed to go the right way to your goal.
Okay. So what do you see for November? What's your goal?
My goal?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to say ambassador, but I had a big learning. A learning that, I mean, I need to build the third leg, right? So I have to personally recruit. I recruited 5 people the last 6 weeks, but I now realize that my calendar is very full because I'm supporting the team in dev. And now I'm missing the time for personal recruiting. So I don't know. I will try to hit ambassador, and otherwise, for me, it's to learn on how to schedule my time better, how to develop more leaders, so I have more time in the future, and so I can hit ambassador next year. But of course, would be amazing to hit it in November.
But I love that you are just talking about that T-balance, that customer and partners, and that growth. That's success. And you definitely are having that success. Well, Sasha, you are incredible. I mean, I know you're 23, but I have just been soaking up and writing all my notes in more of them for listening to you about focusing and the consistency. And I love that because I know a lot of the young people in the team, they're looking up to you and seeing that you're doing it. And I love that you were just downright real and showing it does this. You have the ups and downs, not only in the business, but the emotional roller coaster. Just believe in this and keep going. And the business with the T-balance and stuff is definitely growing. So Sasha, thank you so much for coming on here. You have taught us all so much. We're rooting for you, and we're also knowing that Zinzino, like you said, is going to be what people think about when they think about health. So it's going to be a huge success.
Yes,
what are you most excited about for the future? Last question.
for,
I'll be done then. What is
for,
it you're most excited about?
for my own future or Zinzino's future?
Maybe both. What are you most excited about?
I mean, Zinzino futures, I think we could talk an hour about it, but to keep it simple, what I already said, just to be a big part of this process, of this growth. I just want to be part of creating what Zinzino will be in 10 years. Just want to be part of it. For my own life, that's a good question. I mean, there are a lot of things I'm curious about or excited about. I think, and I've never thought I will say that, but I think in a few years, family, own kids in a few years. I mean, far away, like 5, 6, 7 years. Huh? But once they're here, I think that will be the most beautiful thing in my life. You
are incredible, Sasha. It's going to be fantastic. What a great training that you've given us. A lot of inspiration from so many. I'll let everybody else tell you the same thing. And thank you for taking the time, Sasha. We just so appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And looking forward to see you in the Leader Council next month. Will be amazing.
I know.
Keep rocking.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Super. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Really.
Excellent message.
Thank you.
Thank you.